Success is an individual who is winning whatever battle it is that they're facing and being empowered to take the next steps and to move forward with their lives. So hopefully our services make it so that they don't need our services in the future.
Welcome to episode 54 of the LorainCounty.com Insights podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. We begin today's episode with a thanks to the LorainCounty.com champion sponsors who support this and so much more in our community. Lorain County JVS, WOBL Radio, Lorain County Commissioners, Emerge Inc., Lorain County Community College, and Community Foundation of Lorain County. Today, we're talking with Alicia Foss, President and CEO of Neighborhood Alliance. Join us as Alicia talks about the importance of building trust within the community, the adaptability of Neighborhood Alliance's programs, and the challenges surrounding funding and affordable housing in Lorain County. Alicia also shares her personal journey from being a parent of a child with special needs to leading Neighborhood Alliance, and reflects on the accomplishments and team that drive their mission forward. My first ever volunteer experience was with Neighborhood House, since renamed Neighborhood Alliance. When I was young, I went several times with my mom and folded fundraising letters and stamped envelopes. One of the other volunteers at the time was Dorothy Fuldheim, a prominent television personality from Channel 5 News. I remember thinking how cool it was that a famous celebrity was also volunteering her time. Here is my conversation with Alicia Foss.
My name is Alicia Foss, and I am the President and CEO of Neighborhood Alliance.
Welcome, Alicia. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. Could you provide an overview of Neighborhood Alliance and your role with the organization?
We started out as a resettlement agency known as Neighborhood House Association. In 2011, we changed our name to Neighborhood Alliance to better fit all of the things that the organization does for the community. Our inspired mission is to help communities grow stronger by meeting critical needs and empowering individuals and families. We do that through our 4 core areas of service: child enrichment, family support services, senior enrichment, and shelter and emergency services.
Could you talk about the services that Neighborhood Alliance provides and the individuals and families you support?
We're different from a lot of nonprofit organizations because we don't just serve one population or meet one need. We focus on the entire community and meeting the critical needs of the community. So that can shift and change throughout a person's lifetime. We serve individuals prenatally all the way up to some of the eldest in the community with things like Help Me Grow Home Visiting, early intervention, child enrichment services, which would be our child care center, our Rising Titans kindergarten readiness program, shelter and emergency services through our homeless shelter, the Haven Center, and our newest addition, the Ben and Jane Norton Center, which is our family center for people experiencing homelessness in Lorain County. We also run the county's PATH program, which is the homeless outreach arm of our shelter and emergency services. So those are the folks that go out into the community and look for unsheltered homeless people and help them to find services that meet their needs or bring them into shelter, help them find housing. And then we have our senior enrichment services, which we have mobile senior centers that are run throughout the community, which is basically like a pop-up shop senior center in areas where a stationary senior center maybe is not cost effective for the community. We're able to bring some of those services to the seniors in that area as like a once a week or a couple times a month service that we can provide. And then we are also the largest provider of home delivered meals. We're an affiliate partner of Meals on Wheels for Lorain County.
About how many people do you serve in each of the different programs?
Each program has its own list of clients that we serve. They range from 150 clients to thousands of clients, just depending on the service that we're looking at. And it fluctuates and changes as the needs in our community change, just like our services fluctuate and change based on the needs of the community.
How do you build trust with the communities that you serve?
Trust can be a challenging thing to build, especially with people who maybe have experienced a breach in their trust early on in their life or throughout their lifetime repeatedly. I think the caring and compassionate staff that we have, who are all trained in their specific areas in things like trauma-informed care and motivational interviewing, things like that, help them to be able to build trust and rapport. We know that trust and rapport are not a one-time thing. Sometimes you need multiple contacts with that person in order to build that trust. So we do take our time and try to meet our clients where they are so that we can really get to know the individual and find out what their needs are instead of making assumptions, which helps us to build trust with them.
Can you talk about what makes Neighborhood Alliance so important to Lorain County as a whole?
What makes it so important is our flexibility. Because we're able to serve the critical need in the community As that changes throughout time, we're able to develop new services to fill the gaps in the community where some of our partner agencies just work with people who are unhoused and experiencing homelessness or people who are food insecure. We cover the whole gamut and we can fill in some of those gaps where other providers might not have that flexibility in their mission or the design of their programming. We're able to come in and develop programming that can meet the critical need in the community based on whatever that is at the given moment.
You've mentioned partnerships. I know they're critical to your work. Who are some of your partners that are especially helpful in your work?
There are way too many to list. We try to partner with as many nonprofit organizations, funding organizations, as well as the local government entities, the mayors of the communities that we work in, the commissioners, our state representatives, state senators, because we feel that the work that we do is not just about Neighborhood Alliance, it's about the community as a whole. And we have a number of different partners throughout the community. And we're always looking at different businesses and different people who have an interest in the work that we're doing. So really, we could partner with just about anybody as long as they have an interest in helping the community and in furthering the mission of the organization.
You mentioned funding. What is your sources of funding?
It's always important in a nonprofit organization, especially in the economy that we're in right now, to diversify your funding. Depending on which program we're talking about, every single program has different funding streams, and they're all individual as far as we see them and as far as their funding and how their revenue and expenses are run through the organization. It makes it a little bit complicated. But we have a number of federal contracts that we get every year that serve some of our programs. And then we also get local funding, state funding. Some of the cities fund us. Definitely the Lorain County commissioners through the county give us some funding as well. So government entities. Then we go to the foundations. We have a number of different foundations that we work with that provide funding for our services. And then the general community and donations that people give us.
Can you talk about how you work with volunteers?
We actually have a really great volunteer program. We can accommodate individual volunteers on a one-time basis or on an ongoing basis, as well as large groups who want a project that they need to do, or maybe it's a corporation that has a community service day and they want to come in and do a larger group project. We can accommodate groups in that way. Sometimes we'll have them work in our kitchen and help with packaging and serving the meals. Sometimes they'll make a meal for the shelter. Some people like to come and go along with our home delivered meals drivers, and we call them a jumper. They jump out the vehicle and provide the meal to the senior that they're serving. So we try to come up with a wide range of different volunteer opportunities to accommodate the interest that people have in the community and where they feel they can give back.
How do you define success at Neighborhood Alliance? What metrics or outcomes are most important to you and your team?
I think we are very focused on the small wins, and it would be great if we could solve homelessness, if we could eliminate homelessness as a whole and never need the homeless shelter again. I would be more than happy to close the doors if we didn't need it. But when you start to focus on some of those bigger issues and trying to solve the world's problems, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. And in order to remain excited and engaged in what we're doing, we really focus on the small successes, the individual who gets out of the homeless shelter and gets permanent housing, the family that gets back on their feet and is able to get back to work and get their kids back into school or enrolled in childcare. We focus on the kids who are learning how to read or learning their letters and numbers with us. It varies, again, from program to program. We do so many different things, but success is an individual who is winning whatever battle it is that they're facing, and really them being empowered to take those next steps and to move forward with their lives. So hopefully our services make it so that they don't need our services in the future.
What trends are you seeing in support services that are shaping your programs moving forward?
We're coming off of a pandemic, and during the pandemic years, funding was very plentiful for our organization. And a lot of other nonprofit organizations, there was a lot of extra money that was flowing. We were able to provide greater services. What I'm seeing trend right now is that some of that money is pulling back, and organizations similar to ours are starting to lose funding where they had this plethora of funding over the last few years to be able to provide great services. We see an increase in the number of people who need our services and a decrease in the money to do the work. And I'm seeing that in our partner agencies. I talk to other executive directors and CEOs of nonprofits in the area, and we're all experiencing a similar thing. From my perspective, I see that leading to a greater level of burnout in our teams and more of a need to take care of the caregivers and make sure that there are services out there for those who are caring for the most vulnerable populations in our community.
What do you see as the biggest challenges related to community stability that are specific to Lorain County?
Affordable housing is a huge issue. One of the things with our shelter we have seen over the last few years is the length of stay increase, where it used to be 30 days and we could turn people around and get them back out and into housing very quickly. We're seeing some of the funds that are available to support first month's rent and deposit and those kinds of things deplete faster because landlords are charging more for their units, which rightfully the economy has changed and they need to keep up with their costs. But that makes it more difficult for people who have a lower income to find sustainable permanent housing. So the housing stock in Lorain County is definitely low, and especially when you're talking affordable housing, and then the funds that go along with it are being used up a lot faster because of the increased amount and the funding being flat for those programs that support the housing market and the housing industry.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What's your background and what led you to your current role?
I am the mother of a child with cerebral palsy. My 13-year-old daughter, she'll be 14 this summer, had a birth injury. She was actually born very premature because of some complications with the pregnancy and then sustained a birth injury along with that. So she was a 24-week preemie. She weighed 1 pound at birth.
Wow.
She had a 5% chance of living, and she lived.
Wow.
So as we came home from the hospital, one of the first things that they did was refer us to Help Me Grow. That was my first connection with Neighborhood Alliance. So my daughter and I are former participants of the early intervention program, and that was run through Neighborhood Alliance then. So some of the people who were part of our journey back then are still part of my journey now. And I got involved with the organization. My daughter graduated from the program at age 3, went into the school district with an IEP, which the team from Neighborhood Alliance helped us transition with that IEP into the school district. And from there, I lost contact with the organization for about a year. And then my daughter had some feeding difficulties and had to have a feeding tube placed. I was working full-time somewhere else and needed a part-time opportunity and happened to see a job with Neighborhood Alliance. So my background is largely human resources. And so it was a human resources position that was open at Neighborhood Alliance, and I applied for the job. Obviously, I got it. I have now been here for 10 years. I have been the CEO for the last 7. So that's my tie to Neighborhood Alliance and how I got started here.
Oh, very cool. In the time you've been with Neighborhood Alliance, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
When I came into Neighborhood Alliance as the CEO, the organization was struggling financially. I've told this story before, so hopefully my board doesn't get upset that I say it again. But my first paycheck with the organization, they were like, I don't know, Alicia, we might have to wait to pay you. And I didn't feel like that was okay, not just for me, but for anybody in the organization. And I think my biggest accomplishment is stabilizing the organization. And it was about a $2.3 million organization when I came in. We're at about $5.5 million a year now. The stability of the organization, the growth of the organization, making sure that we have quality services in place, upgrading some of our facilities. We're working on a capital campaign currently, and we've been able to start to do some upgrades and build new facilities and things like that. I think there's a lot to be proud of. Probably the biggest thing that I'm proud of, though, is our team. We have a lot of longevity in this team, and not just from my time here, but before me. Some of our team members have been here 20 plus years. I see new people coming in, and they come in and they think, oh, this is going to be a temporary thing for me. Or I took it right out of college as a stepping stone, and 15 years later, they're still here. I think that speaks volumes about the organization itself, the way that we treat our people, and the things that we're doing in the community that just make us keep coming back for more, even when it's hard.
Who inspires you, whether personally or professionally?
Professionally, I look at other nonprofit leaders, and I take a little bit from everybody I meet. Some of them do a great job with programming, and I look at their programming and I think, I want my programming to be that strong. Some of them are really good at raising money for their organization and really selling the mission of their organization. I look at that and I want to be good at selling our mission of our organization and raising money for the work that we do. Personally, my daughter is a huge source of inspiration for me.
Sure.
She's a tough little cookie, and she constantly has had to fight her entire life. It's not always easy and it's not always pretty, but we have a thing that we say back and forth to each other, and that's, what's your success rate? What's your success rate at getting through the day? What's your success rate at continuing to fight for your life when you have to? And her success rate is 100%. And so I take a lot of inspiration from that and want to make sure that in everything I do, I'm focusing on 100%, giving 100% and getting 100% in return.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I'm an artist. I enjoy painting and I create glass mosaics. I break the glass, first of all, that's my stress relief. So I'll get pieces of glass and I'll break them, or ceramic plates and dishware that I like the pattern on, and I break those and then take them and put them back together. And it is similar to what I do at Neighborhood Alliance. I break things apart and put it back together. But in my personal life, that's a hobby that I have that kind of helps with my stress relief and then also gives me the opportunity to create something beautiful. I also last year started my own business. So I am doing some nonprofit consulting and some work with small businesses, mostly in the HR field. And that is something, when you get into the CEO side of it, there's not a lot of hands-on with people. And that was something I was missing. I've started a company called Strategy and Sage. I am working with clients to help them build their businesses and to help with HR issues and various different aspects of business management.
Finally, where can people get more information about Neighborhood Alliance and connect with you?
They can visit our website. It's myneighborhoodalliance.org, or they can follow us on social media.
Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorainCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LorainCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.